So you're gonna blur my face, change my voice,
Yes, absolutely.
and there's no geotagging on your camera or anything like that.
Nope, no way for them to tell where this is being recorded.
Let's do it.
Why is it called the Neon Railroad?
You know, some of us are old enough to remember when in Florida, Miami especially, was known for its kind of neon colors, and in the 90s, Miami Vice, all that stuff. So
What exactly is it?
the Neon Railroad is today's Underground Railroad. They're not allowed to teach it in schools anymore, but the Underground Railroad used to help move slaves to free states. And we help move people who were being targeted for their race, for their identity, for their politics, to safer places. The bigger cities are still safe. We work out of Orlando. I'll get notified that we need somebody to be moved to the city, and I'll go and try and get them safely back.
How do you get them safely back?
I've got an old truck that I've kind of modified. It's got a front seat and a back seat, and under the back seat and under the toolbox, I've created a little cavity there. I can fit 2, 3, even 4 people if there's a few kids involved.
Who are you moving on the Neon Railroad?
The people that we go and get are usually either part of the LGBTQ community, maybe it's someone who needs an abortion, immigrants a lot of times. It's scary, but it's even worse when we can't get there in time. A few months ago, I was doing a run up near St. Augustine and came back on the coastal road, drove by Fort Matanzas. These days they call it the Hanging Fort, and they had 3 or 4 bodies strung up there. You know, these local militias, government just lets them do whatever they want to do, basically. It's gotten pretty crazy ever since his second term, and ever since the Supreme Court gave immunity. It's been pretty crazy.
I've heard these militias have roadblocks set up. How do you get through those?
Well, I'm kind of lucky. I grew up hunting and fishing, so I know how to talk that language. I grew up with some relatives who lived in the country and were real rednecks, so I can talk that language. And I've always been a registered independent. I've never been a member of a political party. So when they look up my name, they can see that. If I had ever been a registered Democrat, I would not make it through one run.
Can you tell me about one of the times you've brought people back to the city from a rural place?
So I'll tell you about my latest run. I'm not going to say where it was. I don't want to endanger anybody, but it was a few hours from here. Basically, I leave the city and I take back roads. Sometimes you can get through without roadblocks. And some of those guys know me by now. They see me going around. I'm always going on a hunting or fishing trip. At least that's what they think I'm doing. So we had a family, parents, 2 kids. One of the kids is queer, and that became known in the community. And they started receiving threats. We get word to this family to be ready on this day. I pull up to where they are. I get them in the truck within a couple of minutes, and we go. They leave everything. On the way back, I got stopped by one militia, by one roadblock. They checked my political registration. They checked to make sure I actually went on my fishing trip. You know, this is just my little part. I'm not someone who can try and change the whole system or change our government. I'm just trying to go day by day and do what I can to help the people who need help.